Tonight's episode of ABCA At Home Perspectives is made possible by Pocket Radar. Pocket Radar's smart coach app system, with its unique ability to automatically capture videos with embedded velocities, allows coaches to stay connected and work remotely with current players and new recruits. Their Bring Your Training Home initiative will provide education and resources, including webinars and a limited time discount to help players remotely train, develop, and be seen at home with video analysis tools. Check out their 2020 Expo Theater presentation located in the ABCA Video Library.
One focus, one cue that forces you to simplify.
Toughness is a muscle. It's not a gene. You're not born with toughness.
Can I tell you the number one problem coaching anybody today? Everybody's offended.
You're the example for them. Look yourself in the mirror and go, am I giving these kids enough?
The only thing worse than being blind is having sight without vision.
When people start celebrating small things that occur on the field, the next thing you know, you get this small amount of energy, and then it just builds up. And the next thing you know, the environment, the energy in the environment that is created is very positive, and it's contagious, and it's very enthusiastic. And really, as a coach, that's what you want.
Welcome to the American Baseball Coaches Association's At Home Perspectives. The ABCA will be organizing and streaming live virtual coaching clinics featuring a different panel discussing a different element of the game every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. These clinics will be archived and available to watch on demand within the My ABCA mobile app and the Coaching Resource Library section of our website. Interact with us on Twitter. Send your questions to @ABCA1945 with the hashtag ABCAAtHome. Don't forget to include your name and rep your program. Since 1945, the ABCA has been bringing great coaching minds together to educate, mentor, guide, and support the greatest game in the world. Tonight is no exception, so grab your notebook and prepare to lock in for the next 90 minutes. We have a great conversation in store for you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jim Richardson, and this is ABCA at Home. Tonight's episode will focus on junior college baseball. There are numerous reasons why this episode is important, but the common denominator is simply options. In response to losing almost an entire season due to the current global health pandemic, the NCAA granted an eligibility waiver or an extra year of eligibility to current ball players. This means college rosters will not be turning over like they used to. A condensed MLB draft means even more college baseball players will be returning to campus in the fall. If you couple these factors with an extremely limited recruiting window for high school and travel players, the result is fewer options. The goal of this week's episode is to point out what options do exist, to provide you with information that you can utilize to help your players. To help us accomplish that goal, we've assembled a great group of ABCA member coaches to walk us through the landscape of junior college baseball. With that, I'd like to have our panel go around the horn and introduce themselves.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me. Thank you to the ABCA for putting on these clinics and these discussions. And I want to say it's an honor to be on the same panel with these coaches and be able to talk about JUCO baseball. My name is Tom Arrington. I've been with San Jacinto College for 20 years. I started off as a JUCO player. in California, Northern California, where I grew up. Played at Wren Junior College and coached there, and ended up going out of state to a 4-year school. Went to Texas A&M University. After that, played some professional baseball, and always knew I wanted to be a coach. And I love the game, and I just want to give everything I can back to the players. Be the best we can be, but also provide opportunities to grow as young men and develop our communities. So that's it.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm Jon Goebel. I'm the head baseball coach at Parkland College in Champaign, Illinois. I've been at Parkland for the last 6 years. Obviously, Jim, thanks for having me on. Had a lot of fun with the pitching development one from a few weeks back. So happy to help again. And like Coach Arrington said, definitely honored to be on the same panel with a lot of these successful coaches. And I haven't been a head coach for very long, so trying to figure it out on the fly and learn as much as I can. So hopefully I'll learn as much tonight as anybody that's viewing the video. So again, really appreciate it and happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Appreciate the opportunity to be here. This is Rick Hitt. I'm the head baseball coach and athletic director at South Florida State College in Avon Park, Florida. Small rural community college, about an hour and a half southwest of Orlando and about an hour and a half southeast of Tampa. So if you know where those metropolitan areas are, you kind of get a feel for where we are. This is my 22nd year here at the college. Blessed to be here, my 32nd year overall. Had the great pleasure of getting an opportunity to start coaching at Sullivan High School as an assistant coach under Jim Howard, who gave me my start, who I'll always be grateful for that. And look up, and 32 years later, here we are. So just blessed to be able to do it. Played for two great Hall of Fame coaches, one in community college at Santa Fe Community College, Coach Harry Tholen, and then at St. Thomas University for Coach Paul Maneri, who's now the head coach at LSU. Two great individuals who I learned a great deal from, not only as what it takes to be a collegiate baseball player, but to be somebody that gives back in the form of service and also promotes the game in a lot of different ways. So I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to play for both of those guys. Even more grateful to be able to share my 30th wedding anniversary with my wife at the end of this month, Jama. She's the real Hall of Famer at our house. She's been a 33-year elementary school teacher, so she's something else. And we've been blessed with two great daughters, Sydney Lynn, 25, and Cassie J, 22. I heard you guys talking about your 3-year-olds and your 7-year-olds there. Good luck to you. So we're blessed to have those girls, and just again blessed to be here. I had the opportunity to do this a long time ago to get started, and it's been a great ride, and really enjoyed doing it. And I'm really honored to be here with the rest of you guys tonight talking baseball, and hopefully we can cover some good points. So thank you again, Jim, for having me.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim, thank you so much for having me on here. It's a great panel you put together. Obviously, JC route's a huge part of my life. I did it, as a player, now as a head coach, and obviously assistant coach in between there. But I'm just honored to be on here to learn a lot. The head coach at Lower Columbia College in Longview, Washington. We're about 2.5 hours south of Seattle, depending on traffic, about 40 minutes north of Portland. So we're in a great location on I-5 there. But I'm just looking forward to hearing from all these coaches here, the great minds. Guys have been around this game a long time. I'm in my 3rd season as head coach, and I've been a part of Lower Columbia College for about 9 total seasons, 2 as a player, 4 as an assistant, and 2.5 years as a head coach now. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jim, thanks again. Appreciate getting another chance here. I've had a couple, small roles with the ABCA and presenting, and just love every second of it. It's been great. My name's Derek Sullivan. I'm the head baseball coach at Sacramento City College, Northern California, CCCAA. Short drive down I-5 there, Eric, to us, 12, 13 hours. California's got a great brand of baseball. Really, I'm excited to talk about, what we got going on. And, everybody on this panel, certainly there's a lot of great baseball in this country at the junior college level. I'm very passionate about it. I played at Sacramento City College. I was a redshirt kid, so played here for 3 years. And I was fortunate enough to transfer to St. John's University Played for Ed Blankmeyer, ABCA Hall of Famer. So another great experience. At Sac City, I had played for Andy McKay. Came back to coach with him as an assistant for 8 years before getting an opportunity to be the head coach. So this was just finished up kind of my 8th year as a head guy, and have loved every second of it, and I'm still very passionate about junior college baseball.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Coach. Coach Wren?
Yeah, Jim, thank you for the invite back. Sorry I wasn't able to make the first one, but excited to be here tonight, be a part of this chat. My name is Doug Wren. I'm the head baseball coach at Tyler Junior College. I'm embarking on my 11th and half year, because I don't know if we could call this last year a full year. So, but this will be my 12th year at TJC, 14th overall. I was very fortunate enough to play junior college baseball here under longtime ABCA member Jon Goebel. And so once I got done with my playing career, I was able to jump right into college coaching, got a job at Weatherford College, another JC here in Texas. And then that got a call back to come back to TJC to be an assistant. And then I was 25 years old when Jon offered me the opportunity to become the head baseball coach here. And here we are. It's been 12 wonderful years or 11, embarking on 12. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this growing community and this growing school. And I'm excited to be a part of this family of baseball, and looking forward to tonight with these great panelists.
No doubt. Well, thank you for joining us. And gentlemen, on behalf of everyone in the ABCA, our member coaches, our executive committee, our director, everybody, thank you so much. This means a lot that you guys are willing to take time out of your schedules to help bring information out to the coaches, out to the masses. So thank you. But before we go full tilt into this thing, it's important to clear up that the junior college landscape is comprised of 3 governing bodies. First off is the Northwest Athletic Conference, but I'm pretty sure, Eric, the locals call it the NWAC up there. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. Yes, Jim.
There we go. So we'll call it the NWAC. This features 36 member schools from the states of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and the Canadian province of British Columbia. The second governing body is the California Community College Athletic Association, which encompasses 108 member schools, and they are all located within the state of California. And then finally, the National Junior College Athletic Association, which has 525 member schools. It's separated into 3 different divisions. And finally, it's subdivided into 24 different regions across the United States. An interesting little bit of trivia, the NJCAA, which is not affiliated with the California Community College Athletics Association, was actually started in Fresno, California. So it's kind of interesting. It was a bunch of California community college coaches that got together and started to organize, and then it kind of spread. And then the California guys were like, nah, we're gonna do this over here. And then long story short, kind of interesting how those paths have all been tangled together. But with all that said, since junior college baseball has so much going on, I mean, ultimately we have 3 different governing bodies. The NJCAA has 3 different divisions within their own governing body. Coach Hitt, I was wondering if you can kind of walk us through what makes an NJCAA Division I institution a D1 institution. What's the differences?
Basically, when you break this down, Jim, it's to be a Division I institution is based upon what the institution chooses to offer from a scholarship opportunity. So it's not really based on attendance or enrollment or things of that nature. It's more about what an institution chooses to do budgetarily with their scholarships. And in a scholarship offering from Division I, you can offer tuition, books, fees, room, board, meals, things of that nature. And that really captures the majority of what an athletic scholarship would be about. And at that Division I level, you're able to offer all of those scenarios. It's interesting, here in Florida, we have actually a combined, like a lot of other states, we have a combined region where we actually have the majority of our student athletes play in Division I institutions, and we have a couple that are Division II. So there are states around the country who have a multitude of different divisions when you break those down.
Nice. So what region is Florida in then, Coach Hitt?
Florida is Region 8 in the NJCAA.
And it's the whole state is Region 8 then?
That's correct.
Easy enough. Okay. Coach Goebel, from a Division II standpoint, what can you guys do scholarship-wise?
We can do tuition and books. Now, being at a NJCAA Division II, we can't scholarship housing as far as rent or if guys were living in a house, apartments off campus. But we can scholarship tuition and by rule can take care of books. Now every institution is going to be different in terms of what type of financial backing they have from their particular institution. Some are fully funded and they'll have a full for every 24 letters that they have. I know us at Parkland, we only have 15, which is a challenge for us. And we also it's a pretty highly rated academic institution, and that's kind of reflected in the tuition rates as well. So you battle with what you got or whatever, and obviously it's not something that I want to complain about or anything, but it's just kind of to just because you're Division I or Division II doesn't mean you're going to be able to offer exactly the same as maybe another Division I or Division II within your own state. And we're similar to Florida. We got D1, D2, D3 in our state. Our region has Division I and Division II junior colleges. Now our conference is D2 only.
Okay.
Obviously, we participate in a different playoff setup and a different national championship than Division I does. But.
Easy enough. Now, I'm interested to find out, Coach Wren, what those differences are at the Division III level, because I'm assuming you can't offer as much, but you've been able to win 4 national championships out there at Tyler. So I want to get into how you've done that, being able to offer less than some of these other guys. But let's first focus on the scholarship difference at the Division III level.
Yeah, so as you've noticed, at the Division I level, you can offer a full. At the Division II level, it's kind of split up, and then obviously at the Division III level, we're not allowed to offer any athletic aid, and so it certainly makes it challenging when it comes to recruiting. You certainly have to be creative in the way that you are trying to bring light and shed light into your program and what you can do. We talk about it in terms of an investment for our guys to come here. They're investing in their time here so that, maybe they can get paid, through, a scholarship on the back end. And so we actually in Texas, and Tom can speak to this too, but there's 2 regions here, Region 14 and Region 5. And most of which are going to be Division I schools. I believe there's only 8 in our association Division III schools. And so there's 6 kind of in the Dallas metro area, and then ourselves here in East Texas, and then Coastal Bend College, which is in South Texas. And so that's kind of our region that we compete with. Obviously, we have different our playoff setups are pretty similar to the 4-year Division I's, where we have two regionals, a super regional, and then that leads to a World Series. But certainly makes it challenging being Division III. We do have to get creative, but we've been fortunate that our school, and we can talk about this here in a little bit, we're in a great setup. We're in a great location. We have great facilities. And so we're able to package together something for a kid that hopefully can overcome some of that money. And hopefully, our goal is to help them maybe earn that on the back end. So.
Makes sense. Thank you, Coach. Coach Lane, what do you guys got going on from a scholarship standpoint in regards to what you can offer in the NWAC?
Yeah, we're a little bit different, obviously, than the national JUCOs. I feel like I learn something new every single year with our system. But basically, we have 11 fulls, and what that means is, our fulls are pretty much 60% of tuition. We can give in 3 avenues. We can give money. We can give money on the athletic side, athletic scholarship, through a waiver, and as well as employment work study. And so if we're giving a guy a full, that means we're giving him around $2,751 for in-state tuition of $4,200. And so We can't quite give a full, but we can spread about $30,000 around to a roster of 35 to 38 guys. Washington and Oregon are different. Oregon does there's more on a credit standpoint for their schooling and their scholarship system. So it's different between Washington and Oregon, where most of the schools are located. So that's kind of on that side. As far as the format goes for postseason, we have 36 member schools in the NWAC, 29 of which play baseball. We have 4 different regions: North, East, South, and West. The number 1 seed out of each earns their berth in the NWAC tournament, which is actually located at our field in Longview.
Wow.
And then there's a super regional format the week before. 2s host 3 and 4 from different regions, and they battle it out in a super regional format to earn their way to Longview for the 8 teams in the NWAC tournament. And so you got to be creative on the recruiting. We do lose some guys at the National JUCO, but we do have some good baseball here in the Northwest. We get some great players, and we got some great ballparks, great facilities that are upgrading each and every year. So it's good to see just the improvements we've made in the Northwest as far as JC baseball goes.
No doubt. No doubt. Thank you for sharing. Now, Coach Sullivan, what are you guys able to do in California?
So in California Community College, we have 0 athletic scholarships, none at all. Now, that makes it interesting getting an out-of-state player. Obviously, California's got quite a few baseball players, so it's not altogether necessary to go outside. Recent legislation actually has California residents, your first 2 years out of high school, it's tuition free. So if you're living at home and able to go to one of the JCs, of which there are 88 baseball playing community colleges in California, split up over Northern and Southern California, you're going to school for free. You're going to have to pay for your books, but altogether that's not bad. If you're just a regular student, non-baseball playing, non-athlete, it's probably, if you're living at home, only going to cost you $2,000 a year to attend. So it's a very, very different and interesting, but still positive situation. Generally speaking, it's tougher to get a California guy out of California. It certainly happens, but that's also why California is, I think, structurally set up away from the NJCAA. We have schools that would belong in all 3 divisions, but the way the scholarship system is, the way the funding for the programs are, it's just noticeably different, and it's a hard obstacle to overcome to join.
No doubt. Well, the free or reduced or tuition definitely makes up for the increase in property values out there. So I'm assuming that kind of just offsets each other. But
yeah, I mean, effectively, we have scholarships for guys in state, right? So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Coach Arrington, I wanted to pass it over to you to kind of give us the layout of the postseason for NJCAA Division I, primarily because for those of you who are listening in or watching in, Coach Arrington is currently the head coach with the most wins in NJCAA college world history. Isn't it something like 47 or is it 60 something, Coach? Do you know?
Well, I thank you for mentioning that. I think it's 40 something, but I don't like I don't even keep track of my own statistics. With that, I'm more concerned with the players and the next game coming up, which is so important to me. And to get to our World Series is something we talk about. We have a sense of there's a big push from previous history, and you look at the wall at San Jacinto College, and I posted up the major league players that had been there, and we have a reputation of course, Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit and Brandon Belt and numerous others that are played in the big leagues, and it's a great environment. They see it every day. They pursue that dream of a national championship, and part of what we do within our region, we have our South Region 14 is what we play in. And then there's an East Region 14, and the top 4 from each side meet together in a tournament, Region 14 South or Region 14 tournament. And the winner of that goes to the World Series.
Okay.
That's what we strive for. I think that's what every coach is looking for is the pinnacle for their players. I mean, they want to show their skills at a higher level. I think that helps us be seen more. We've had players just drafted and signed out of the World Series because it's a different scout, looking at them. So we're able to venture out and play. It can only help our program, help our players, and promote it. I think Doug had mentioned earlier about there's a Region 5 also in the state of Texas, which is also composed of New Mexico teams also, and there's a couple of New Mexico teams, and it's just a plethora of outstanding players, and they do a regional playoff, and they're able to get an automatic berth to the World Series.
Okay.
But, I think Florida too, but Rick will tell you that other people have to go another step, Jim, which is a district playoff to advance to a World Series. And it's, it's an exciting thing. And to get to Grand Junction, Colorado is just an amazing event. They've put it on for over 50 years. Jamie Hamilton does a remarkable job, and it's exciting.
No doubt, no doubt. So the region is basically seeded, and the top 4 seeds from within your region are playing in a regional, and it's just a winner take all, go to the College World Series situation?
Yeah, it's an automatic bid from our regional straight to the World Series.
Awesome. Now, Coach Hitt, is it the same in Florida? Because Florida is huge. Do they break it up in sections, or?
Well, to be quite honest with you, Jim, the Florida being huge is one of our points with regard to hopefully one day finding a way to get another team to get to that tournament based on how large we are and how competitive our region is. There are 23 Division I schools here. We have 4 conferences. We end up with an 8-team region/district tournament at the end, and the winner of that 8-team tournament moves on to the World Series, as Tom STA mentioned in Grand Junction. It's an incredibly competitive state with, as he mentioned, in Texas, some outstanding players here, outstanding coaches, and outstanding programs. And it's very difficult to just get out of your conference, not to mention to get to the state tournament and get out of the region itself. So we've had teams who've had 40-win seasons can't get out of this state because of just that one spot. And I know there are some other demographic scenarios across the country. We hope to one day figure out a way to re-landscape this thing and see if we can get some of those great teams to the World Series on top of it. So, but yeah, to answer your question, it is a large region, very competitive region, a very difficult region to get out of.
No doubt. Now, Coach Goebel, I know you guys are in Region 24, which encompasses, if you familiar with the map, Illinois is pretty long. It's about 6.5 hours top to bottom. But Region 24 is in Illinois and everything south of Interstate 80. Now, are they still doing sectionals within Region 24 and dividing you guys into like 3 or 4 team sectionals, then to go to the regional, then to the World Series? How's it broken up for you guys?
For us at the Division II level, ours is simply it's just a one weekend tournament, a regional tournament. And it's been comprised in the last handful of years. And at one point it was a 6-team tournament. They took the top 6 out of 9, top 2 seeds got a bye. Recently, the last couple of years, it's been a 9-team tournament. An 8-team tournament, I'm sorry, and nobody got a bye. Now, this coming year, we are moving it to a 7-team tournament, and the number 1 seed who wins the 32-game league conference schedule will have the number 1 seed. Our region is essentially our conference. All those 9 teams that are fighting for that regional position, they're all in our MWAC conference. There are Division I institutions in our region that obviously they have a separate postseason setup. Our World Series is in Enid, Oklahoma, and they do a phenomenal job. We've been fortunate enough to be there 3 out of the last 4 years, and it's the town does a really good job making the guys feel really special about making it there. But like you mentioned, Northern Illinois, I mean, the last couple times we've been there, it's not guaranteed, but a lot of times it's a likely scenario where there are 2 Illinois teams at the Division II World Series. You could have Kankakee or McHenry County there, a couple other teams in the mix. But we play a 10-team national tournament. And it comes from, the Midwest region, the Southwest, the Southeast, the Northeast. Now across the board, Division II, there are some areas that they still have a district and a region, and their approach to make the World Series is different than ours. But ours is it's our region tournament, and the winner goes, and it's double elim, and it's a tough tournament to win for sure. But we feel fortunate that if you can get hot that weekend and win that tournament, then you get to go, and that's you couldn't ask for. It's a pretty good opportunity in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. So it sounds like basically whatever region in regards to NJCAA, they may have a different process to produce their representative for the College World Series within that division. Coach Wren, how does your team go about building, a schedule to get into the postseason? You guys are obviously doing something right and have hit on some sort of secret sauce. Like, are you going out and playing Division I teams? Like, is there that big of a difference?
Yeah. So one of the cool things about us not really being in a conference, we only have 8 teams in our entire region. We play a mostly Division I, Division II schedule. I would say that out of 56 games, we probably play maybe a dozen of those against Division III schools. The rest will be against Division I or Division II schools. And so we prefer it that way. I feel like it certainly prepares us for April and May, and I feel like it prepares us well for those tournaments, for our regional and super regional, and then eventually a World Series. We get to the World Series, which is currently it's in Tennessee. There's a few teams up there that have some really, really good teams and really good arms. And so for us, playing a lot of the Region 14 teams like Tom is in, certainly helps us and prepares us for that journey to hopefully getting back to a World Series. So it is certainly a challenge to schedule that many games. We don't have like a 30 or 36 game conference schedule, and then every year you just have to schedule 20 or so. But I have to put that thing together, and so it's kind of a challenge. But over the years, you have the guys that you want to play, and who will challenge you, and we have good programs, and I know we played Tom a couple years ago here at our place, and Texas is there's so much good baseball, and so we're very fortunate where we're at, and that's just kind of my opinion. Is I want to challenge my guys and get them ready to go, and that's kind of my philosophy when it comes to scheduling.
No doubt. Now, Coach Lane, same sort of question, but a little story to set it up. Back in the day, years ago, we used to play a bunch of schools from the Washington, I want to say Seattle. We played Everett. We played Bellevue. They would come down to Scottsdale area, Arizona, on their spring trip. And I got to see Everett and I believe Bellevue 3 years in a row. Man, middle infield play was just off the charts. Unbelievable baseball up there in the Pacific Northwest, man. Are you just beating each other up, or are you trying to build schedules where you're able to get outside and maybe play schools outside of the NWAC?
Yeah, you know what? We haven't really we kind of eliminated that travel down to Arizona and California, just budget purposes on that side. We really get to stay up here in the Northwest. We schedule. We want to schedule the best teams in the league. You referenced some of those already, but you want to just go after each other. I mean, not a lot of teams are going down to Arizona, California anymore, if any, right now. We have played some of the Division I schools in the area over the last 5 or 6 years. We were able to play at GU. We had scheduled Washington State last year, but that fell through. We played University of Portland. So we stay in the Northwest. What I think you see up here in our corner is, and with the addition of Boise State and Seattle U and Oregon over the last decade, there's more Division I schools than there used to be. But there's just not as many for how many guys are in this area. And so we do get a lot of talent. We do get those fringe D1 guys that get the opportunity to come in. I know we're going to discuss this a little bit later, but they can come in and develop, and then they get that opportunity later on. But the talent's great. It's exciting. It's progressing, and it's fun to be around some of these squads up here. And it's kind of a tight-knit community as far as what we got going on. We know the coaches personally, and it's a pretty cool option up here in the Northwest.
No doubt. Thank you. Now, Coach Sullivan, same sort of question in regards to scheduling. You don't have to really, where you're located, Sacramento, you don't really have to travel too far to find some good competition. But are you going down to Southern California and playing some of the teams down there? Or what's your schedule look like? How are you building it?
Yeah, I mean, us in particular, we're fortunate. We have a really, really good conference. It's called the Big 8 Conference, and it's mainly a Sacramento area conference. We don't overnight anywhere for a conference week. We play a home away setup where you're going to take a bus and come back and sleep in your own bed. So it's very fortunate. We're close together. I personally and a number of other programs, not that many. I think it's really important to head down to Southern California and get on the road and do the travel thing to build your team and to face some stiff competition on the road. Because at the end of the day, in our postseason, which I kind of glanced over earlier, you got the Northern California and the Southern California playoffs. You got 18 teams in each. And after a round of single elimination with some play-in games, you do 3 weeks of 2 out of 3. There's a regional, a super regional, and a sectional. You're going to have 2 northern teams, 2 southern teams, and they meet at varying spots for our Final Four tournament, which is our state championship series. And if you're going to be able to be successful in a tournament like that, you're going to have to go on the road and see what you're made of and overnight in a hotel. And I value that. So we're constantly traveling to usually once a year we're going to take a 3-day trip and play 3 or 4 games against a good team down south on the beach somewhere.
Hey. There's nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. There's just a plethora of good baseball at the junior college level in California. And I mean, just to mention the lineage of Sac City with Coach Weinstein and Coach McKay, like, holy cow, man. How did you feel about stepping into those shoes?
Well, it was, it's one of those really fortunate. I think at the end of the day, our program's got a lot of tradition. There are many programs that do, and ours is one of them. And, it comes with its own set of issues because you're supposed to win. You're not supposed to miss the playoffs. And, I have the dubious honor of the one time in the last 45 years, Sac City to make the playoffs. And that was me, so to speak, and it is what it is, probably the best thing that ever happened. But, there are a lot of good things that go on with that tradition. One of them is the involvement with the ABCA, not to get sidetracked, but it's, it goes way back to, Coach Weinstein, and he's still highly involved. And it's nice to come to the convention and be in the aura of a guy like that. It's pretty cool.
No doubt. Awesome. Well, thank you. So now, guys, I'm kind of interested for you to kind of tell us a little bit more about your programs, and you can really take this any way you want. Coach Hitt, we'll start with you. What are some of the core values of your program?
Well, I'll start with pretty simple, Jim. We're a blue collar bunch. That's just kind of our MO. I don't say a lot of cool things. I don't do a lot of cool things. I don't have I'm kind of an old school guy, and I've been a blue collar guy my whole life, really. Started early as a young age when I started working early, I think. And we work hard to try to find the right fit for the players who want to come here. They have to feel like our place is the right fit for them to show up. We're a small rural place. We're not on a metropolitan area. We're not in a big recruiting area. So they really have to feel like our environment is the one they want to come to. And that blue collar atmosphere. Secondly, the family environment that we really create. We're a small community. We get great crowds. We have a great campus full of people who really embrace the student athletes here. So it's something that, again, the student athlete really has to feel good about, that family atmosphere. It's an earn your keep type place. Actions more than words. It's, those may sound like old school qualities, but I think there's, and sometimes, and as we evolve into the world, I think there's not quite enough old school in the new school that we bring out sometimes. And I enjoy that process. And You have a video up here of our guys in the pool and a 6 a.m. workout one day. Some of these things are just traditional stuff we've always felt like are important to get guys moving every day. And then the accountability of players, of course, and the accountability of coaches. How hard am I working in that environment for my players? How hard am I being able to get them to be accountable for themselves? And then committing to them so they'll commit to each other. I think that's something else, that commitment to understand how to help the other guy enjoy the ride while you're working, while you're getting your academic criteria done. These are kind of the values that we impress upon our guys. Again, it has to be the right fit. And really for a guy to walk in here, if they feel it's the right fit, we feel like we're going to get the most out of them. We feel like we're going to get 100% of their effort. There won't be any second guessing on where they should have gone to school. When they buy into that, we know they're all in when they get here. And we try to impress upon those values for them each and every day.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Coach Arrington, same question goes to you, but I want to kind of slant it also a little bit. In doing some research in setting up this this program, this episode, I found something that looked really cool. It was a Legends Day or something that you had in the fall, and I didn't know if all those guys coming back to support your baseball program had something to do with the core values that you ultimately preach. But when you see Andy Pettit in the middle of that picture, it's pretty cool. So anybody can go and just Google San Jacinto baseball and type Legends at the end of it. You'll see the picture that I'm talking about. But what are the core values of the program that you're preaching, Coach?
I think first of all, you surround yourself with good people. I think we're only as good as our assistant coaches, and Corey Kohler was a ABCA Assistant Coach of the Year for the NJCAA level and Division I. And Eric Weaver, who I took on, he joined us about 6 years ago, do a tremendous job recruiting, identifying things. We have Woody Williams, who pitched 15 years in the big leagues, that's just a great mentor and somebody to look up to as a coach. So you surround yourself with those type of people, Christian-based people that understand that it's about the players and their development, and it goes on from there. And I got to talking with Corey one year, several years back, and I said we need to do something for some former players and recognize them. And we do. I started this idea of having them, not necessarily a Hall of Fame Legends group, and bringing them back and honoring them. Them and their families for what they've done and so forth. And so we do a special event. We hold a tournament. We invite the top teams we can to come in for a tournament and engage while we're also putting on this Legends event. So we host a luncheon for them and some other things just to recognize. And it's not really a fundraiser. It's just really for us to say thank you and we appreciate the work that you've done. Some of them are former big leaguers. Some of them are ex coaches, but they all have given a lot to the program in many different ways, or the baseball in many ways. So it's that. And as far as our values, when we talk about it, we talk about winning. Winning's to me is secondary from all. It's not a matter of them getting. I tell them the first day, if you can make one other person in this room better, then we're going to have an outstanding club. Then you're all going to be winners. Because people, they want to get better. They understand we're going to put them through drills. We're going to ask them a lot to do a lot of stuff on the field. And, they're going to get a lot out of it. But if they can give to the program and give to their teammates, now they create a brotherhood, that it's a network. And it's really, really special to see when they're all engaging in the same common goal. And if they can come together and do that and help one another, and sometimes, like I said, they cry together. It's just something they do, and it's hard to see them leave. I don't like it, and that's the hard part about junior college. They're there maybe a year, maybe two. If you redshirts one, you got them for three, and then they're gone, and it's a new group, and we're constantly recruiting over and over and over again. And it's hard to see them leave.
No doubt. Now, Coach Goebel, I'm interested to hear a little bit about your core values, specific to your baseball program over there at Parkland. I know you've inherited a huge piece of. I mean, Parkland is well known. They've won a junior college World Series previously. They've had phenomenal athletes and ball players come through that program. But you've quickly established yourself as kind of like pitching you when it comes to junior college baseball. You put out a ton of guys. And on the slide that I'll be showing next, you will see just where all these guys have gone to from 2019's club. But what are the core values at Parkland?
I think the biggest thing with our guys is just to try to make everything about the program inside and out about the players. It sounds a little cliche, but we like to take the approach and make sure the players know that our number one priority isn't winning as many games as possible and isn't going to the World Series. Now, that's something that everybody in our group and our coaches and players, they're obviously striving towards. Anybody that's competing is going to be striving towards that, and they don't have to necessarily be reminded of that. Our mentality is if we recruit talented players and good players that like to work hard and want to get better, and we help them get better, then naturally we're going to win a lot of games, and we might have a shot of maybe getting to a World Series, or might have a shot of winning a national championship. And something you said that has to be mentioned before is my job is to not mess it up. I was the pitching coach for 4 years for David Garcia, who had an unbelievable run at Parkland and is one of my best friends. And he did an amazing job here. I'd like to think that I was able to help him out along the way, but Dave really, when he took over this program in Parkland terms, was on hard times. I think a lot of programs would still have liked to have had some of the seasons they had, but as far as our expectations, it had fallen on a little bit of hard times, and Dave fixed that right away. And my mentality is to just try to keep that same approach. I mean, as far as, if you're looking at different buzzwords as far as value and kind of our core beliefs, I mean, it's the opportunity. I want to tell, this is an opportunity for guys to not necessarily use it as a stepping stone, but use it as a springboard into something much bigger. And, I don't want to say much better because I don't want to marginalize what we got, but, I think understanding that players, they're not coming to Parkland to win a Division II junior college national championship, which is fine. I'm okay with that. They're coming to Parkland to try to get better and try to eventually get drafted, or go to the big leagues, or go play in a Power 5, or go play wherever their goals are. And I think if that's accepted and understood as a coaching staff, and understand why these guys are really here, I think you can do a lot with what you got in terms of maximizing their potential, which in turn the byproduct of that will be a lot of wins, and hopefully, competing for a national championship. And that's kind of the mentality that we take with it. Kind of like, Coach mentioned before, I mean, we try to have a very blue collar, non-spoon fed approach. I mean, we like the mentality of the chip on the shoulder athlete, the JUCO mentality of a guy that isn't going to complain about anything. And we have a nice setup. We got nice facilities, but I like to rough it when we can. We'll hop on the bus and drive 10 hours for 2 games, if that's what it takes, early in the season to get south. I mean, that's, I think that's good for our guys to get to the Division I level. They're going to be a little bit more, maybe a little bit more adept to some of the grind and some of the stuff that comes with, all these coaches, probably deal with their players as well. It's different. We're not flying anywhere, and, we're not getting into a hotel the night before to get that extra rest. We're playing on a travel day and stuff like that. So I think that's important that guys understand that. And as opposed to looking at that as a negative, embrace that, eat it up. It's only going to make you a tougher athlete and a more likable guy from a coaching standpoint, if you kind of wrap your arms around that mentality. So, that's where we're at with our guys. I mean, I I like to think we got a good thing going, but obviously there's a lot of good players out there, a lot of good programs, and we really just try to concern ourselves with what we're doing, and hoping we're doing right by our guys, and try to leave it at that.
Easy enough. So it sounds like you're taking almost like a minor league approach. Like you're trying to grow Parkland into the minor leagues for these Power 5 schools and Division I institutions. You assume a certain level of compete, but focus completely on the player's development. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, as far as our practices and what we do, we really we'll sit the guys down and say, okay, what's your current game look like, and where has it placed you? And what are the things that are within the realm of achieving that can make you a more recruitable athlete at a higher level? And then once we have that kind of pinpointed, it's all right, now here's the programming and the plan that we're going to try to put together to get you there. We really don't spend a whole lot of time, and sometimes maybe it hurts us. I mean, we don't spend a ton of time. I mentioned before on the pitch, we don't PFP, we don't first and third, we don't, and not because I don't think that's important. It's just that my guys, they have to develop a certain level of physicality within their stuff, or whether it be at the plate or on the mound, or they're not even going to get the interest they want from a recruiting standpoint at the next level. So we kind of put all of our eggs in that basket, where it's what is the current recruiting landscape looking for, and how do we try to put that on our guys. So we spend all of our time doing that. And I think guys, they enjoy that, where we maybe lose a game early in the spring because we mishandle a bunt or something like that. I can live with that. If my guys are, adding the physical capabilities that are helping them get recruited, I can live with it. So you can hang those losses on me, not them.
That's it's awesome and kind of refreshing to hear a perspective like that. Thank you. Coach Wren, same question for you. What are the core values of Tyler Junior College?
Yeah, I think, I guess one of the things that I'll speak to is just kind of some of the core values of our coaching staff, and just kind of my outlook on why I do what I do. And, we have a staff motto that we want our guys to leave here better than they came in. And, that's emotionally, physically, spiritually, from a baseball standpoint to an academic standpoint. That is something that we want them leaving this place different when they came in. And so with that being said, our decisions are gonna be based on that. So everything that we do, little decisions, big decisions, I've already spoke to, even from a scheduling standpoint, to the type of gear that we use, to how we handle practices, to how we go about study halls and how we travel. Every decision that we make typically will point back to, is this going to help our athletes be the best they can be during their time here? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to try to do what we can to do that. If we don't feel like it's going to help them in any way, then we won't consider it and we'll move on. And so I learned something. I learned a rule. It's called the 100% rule about 5 years ago when I got married. And, we were talking with some friends, and he was like, being married, it's not you give 50%, you go halfway, she goes halfway. You meet in the middle is you give 100%, she gives 100%. That's the way this is going to thrive. Your marriage will thrive in that realm, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to come 50%, you get 50%. And so I started thinking about that as a coach, and I'm like, that's exactly a coach-player relationship. Is I'm going to give 100% of who I am. I don't claim to know all the ins and outs. I try to learn on a daily basis, which is why I love doing stuff like this. I try to get better each and every day, and I expect my players to do the same. And so I think that's where true change happens. Is I'm going to try to give 100% of who I am, and I'm going to ask my coaching staff to do the same. And then in return, we ask our guys to buy in to what we're selling, to believe in some of the things that we're pushing upon them, because we know it's for their best interest, whether that's now in what we're trying to do and developing them, or even setting them up for future. As, obviously, we talk about a lot of time. We don't want this to be a destination spot for guys. We want this to be a pit stop. And we want them to come here with the idea that this is not where their career will come to die. We want them to come here with with the means that they're going to get better during their time here. They're going to work. They're going to be diligent. They're going to dominate the classroom, and they're going to open doors for themselves on the back end of their 2 or 3 years here. And so, we certainly we want to attack the person first, and then the student, and then the players last, kind of in that order, and feel like that will hopefully lead us to what I started off with just these guys becoming different people while they're here. And it just kind of goes back. We've been really fortunate. We've won a lot of baseball games. We were fortunate to rattle off several national championships in a row. And the funny thing is, on the backside of it, you think about it, and you don't really think about the winning. You think about the people. You think about the men when they come back and they talk to you, and they're talking about the program. Very little do we mention the winning part of things. We mention all the stuff in between. It's the journey. And so that's, it's certainly changed my approach, even just these last 2 or 3 years as we've tried to accommodate and tried to put our guys in an environment to be successful and be successful here, and then ultimately beyond here, whether that's at a 4-year school or just as they, venture into life.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Coach. You're telling me though, you guys don't talk about going 28-0 from 2014 to 17 in the postseason, not losing a postseason game for 4 years, man.
It's pretty crazy. I really didn't even know that until probably the last year, but it's very funny. We don't talk about those things. It's just, we don't talk about winning a national championship. It's very blatant. It's very, we have pictures all over the walls of our national championship dog piles, our rings. And so it's obviously there as a reminder, but it's something that, we're very honest with them. Like, obviously that is a goal of ours, is to win a national championship, but it's certainly not, the central focus of what we do day in and day out. Certainly feel like it's just a byproduct of how we do things.
No doubt. Well, I mean, maybe that's the difference between a goal which is realistic as to a goal in which you're hoping to achieve. I don't know. I don't know. Coach Lane, same question to you. What are the core values of Lower Columbia Community College?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm glad that Coach Hitt brought up the blue collar mentality. I feel like the JC route all across America, that's kind of the essence of it, I believe. And so I hope that word gets used for a long time in this game. But, the first thing, that we do with our guys, and this isn't something I created, it's something that I just learned from, the coaches I've had and the coaches I coached with. Eddie Smith, who's at LSU right now, he brought me in as a young assistant, and something that was developed when he was here was this win anyway aspect. I'm not a huge slogan guy, but I feel like there's a lot of great things to learn from it. And what we do in our first team meeting is have guys just what sort of excuses could you use throughout a game, throughout a year, fatigue, coaches, umpires, weather, family, school issues. And when you step on the diamond, you got to eliminate those if we want to go, where our goals are. Like all the coaches are saying, the winning is great, and winning championships is awesome because it's for the guys and they work so hard. It's nice to dogpile in your last game, but it's a long process through the fall, through the winter, through the spring. And these guys need to stay day to day where their feet are. All those cliches you can use, but it's true. I mean, these guys need to put in the effort every single day. And so first thing we want to do is eliminate those excuses, and then also hold everyone accountable, whether it's a coach or coach to coach, player to coach, coach to player, however it is, hold them accountable each and every single day. And so that's a lot. And we've got a really rich tradition here. I mean, there's been a lot of great coaches that I played for Kelly Smith, who's here for a long time. He won 5 NWAC titles. Donegal Fergus was here for a short stop. He's in the Minnesota Twins organization. Eddie Smith, who I coached with, and then there's just been so many great pieces to this tradition here, and I just hope to carry it on. Other thing that was brought up is that we are we are a springboard to something, you can say better, but when our guys are here for 2 years, I want them to have a lot of pride in our program and what we do, with obviously the end result being hopefully get on and keep playing, whether it's, Division I, Division II, NAIA, Pro Ball, but we want them to take pride and be here, not think about what, have goals. That's great, but you have to be in the moment and you have to be here for us and your teammates, because that's going to go a long way for you moving on, and us to put our hat on your name as well. And so we try to create that culture here. Like I said, it's stuff I've learned from when I was at Gonzaga with Coach Mactoff. A lot of our inter squads, what we did is we went off the details, the body language. You could gain points for team energy, for making big plays, for busting your tail down the line. You'd also lose points for, we called it body weight there, Coach Mactoff did, and it was one of the greatest things I've ever heard, because we want to carry ourselves every single day like we are champions. And it starts from day one and trying to hold everybody accountable on that side.
Awesome. Thank you. Coach Sullivan, same question goes over to you. Core values of Sac City.
Well, I think like all of us coaches on this panel, we have a plethora of cliches or things that mean a lot to us. One of the first things that I'll talk about, and with any recruit I sit down with, is I ask them the question, hey, or I tell them, hey, we're a no limits program. And I give them an open-ended question. What's that mean to you? And invariably it's, hey, you can do anything you want. There's no limits, and which is true. We kind of go about our business that, there are a lot of alumni, whether they're coaches or players, that have been able to do a lot of great things after coming to Sac City. And you could insert many different junior colleges, but, so you can do anything. Guys in a Sac City uniform have done a lot, but ultimately the process of getting there is every day you walk through the locker room doors as you come into our stadium, is that as a coaching staff, we got a lot of good ones. We're going to present you with the limits that you've shown up until this moment. Everybody does in fact have limits. It's not just rainbows and unicorns. And, whether that's the grinder or the blue collar mentality, all of those, I think we say the same thing, is what we're trying to do is provide our guys an environment where they can push that limit a little bit further away or push that ceiling a little bit higher on a daily basis. And so, again, you can see that as process, but ultimately we get to, you're going to face your limits every single day that you're in our program. At the end of it, hopefully those limits are removed and you can do great things, but without guarantee, that's how we're going to go about it. We talk a lot about being in the moment, mental toughness. We define it a certain way, and that's your ability to not worry about what might happen, the fear of the next pitch, or the anchor that is last week, last game, last at bat, and getting to the moment. And that's what being mentally tough is. No matter what, you can play this game in the moment. You're pretty tough. And so those are two big pieces of what we talk about. We're probably a little bit more direct with, we do talk a lot about winning a state championship, but it can't get in the way of the building blocks to get there, right? The core values that we just spoke of, and all things lead to that. You get good players that want to get a whole lot better, and you can follow through on that. You'll win a lot of games, and you'll have a chance in the end.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And a follow-up to that, Coach Sullivan, just because, time-wise, we don't want to keep you guys forever, but in the same respect, I've got a bunch of information that I feel is valuable to get out there. So I may have you guys speak a little bit, then do a follow-up question like we're doing here. But on average, how many guys from Sac City are going on to play at four-year institutions after they finish up?
Year in and year out with the sophomore class is a little different, but 100% of our guys have the opportunity. Every now and again, you're going to get a guy that moves on and get to a better school academically than baseball wise, but we're at about 5 or 6 guys a year on average or going Division I. About that same amount go Division II, and I don't want to say the leftover as if they, again, I don't want to marginalize them, but we're probably in that 12 to 14, 15 player range year in and year out that we're moving on to a 4-year school.
Wow. It's awesome. It's awesome. Now, are there any issues transferring outside of California with the California junior college system to 4-year institutions? I mean, just going from your experience, heck, you went from Sacramento all the way to New York. Any issues transferring or anything like that?
No, the community colleges in California, again, academically, we don't compete on academics because I think we all offer something very similar. If you're able to get your AA degree and you're in your transferable appropriate classes, then you can go anywhere in the country. And baseball can be that vehicle.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, thank you very much. Coach Hitt, I'm very interested to hear about what makes your institution unique academically and athletically, but I'm also interested to get into the player development side of things as well as in regards to what you do and how you do it with that blue collar kind of approach. So there's three things I threw up at there. Which one? Pick one and go for it.
We'll start with the uniqueness of our academics climate here. Obviously, it starts with the people at our institution, the faculty, the staff. We have a very unique, small, rural area where we get great class size opportunities, which is one of the advantages of, I think, all of our institutions in the two-year system who have the smaller class size. Great professors, the advisors who are student first and student friendly. We have an opportunity here, as small as we are, to have a lot of one-on-one conversations. We have a lot of student professor opportunities to meet outside the classroom and office hours and things of that nature. So being so small, that opportunity for someone to walk into an atmosphere where immediately they see that there's a comprehensive approach to the person at our school. And I think that probably holds true in a lot of places, but we really work hard to make that one of our unique qualities from an academic standpoint. I think that's why we've had such great success here academically over the years. It's just the people. What makes us unique athletically? I think it's the community itself. Our uniqueness is one that's never won the state or national championship in all the years that I've been here. Had a lot of outstanding teams, a lot of outstanding players. But again, like some of the guys have mentioned earlier, it never really starts, that conversation never really starts the first day on, where do we want to get to in terms of our championship status. It's more about where do we want to grow our players and get them to. And the uniqueness of that combination of athletics and to alluding to your player development is the blue collar things that we believe in, the consistent conditioning plans, the constant mind work that we do, chalk talk, the continuous. I heard someone mention earlier we don't do a lot of PFPs and things like that. I understand all of that. We actually do a lot of fundamental things in the program because that seems to be the kind of player that chooses to come to our institution. And we do try to continue to execute that growth with them. And what makes us unique from that athletic standpoint is our community is so small. We get great crowds. They're community-minded folks who love to interact with our players and our programs, and it's just something that kind of builds its way into this all-encompassing net of support for our student athletes, both academically and athletically. And I think that, from the standpoint of just from the top down here, we try to create that atmosphere here, and we are small enough to do it. There's some places that are so large you can't really get your hands around that, but we're small enough to do it, and we take great pride in it. And then from a player development, from the conditioning sessions to the on-field work, we've even gone to the point where I don't know how many other guys have done this. I've heard some, but we actually have eliminated infield, outfield prior to games. We've gone into in the last couple of years, more of an embracing, more of an engaged time where all of our catchers get work in the 30 to 40 minutes of our BP. Our infielders get their throwing, things like that, and we're doing that because we think that engagement continues to grow the level of our players' play. Not necessarily just going out and swinging your 35-minute BP and then running through your IO, sitting in your dugout, and then getting your guys to game time. We feel like there's a way to grow them within some of that environment. A couple of years ago, we put some plans in place. They seem to have been strategically pretty good. Our players seem much more engaged, and that player development seems to be really moving forward a little bit more than sometimes the stagnant things that we've done over time that don't really interest players. And because I'm an old school guy, I've got to find other ways to get guys engaged with the type of players that we get. And we've tried to incorporate some of that over time as well. So that player development is big. And then, of course, just as Derek mentioned earlier, the transferability of players, that player development part of that, if you can get your A degree and you can play, you're going to find a place to play at any of the 3 levels in 4-year school. And that ultimately is the goal, that completion percentage for our student athletes as graduates, and then them finding the perfect fit at the next stop. But taking some of the things that we've embraced here with them and they've bought into, and being able to walk into that environment and compete now. Not just being able to be someone that has an opportunity and got a scholarship or moved on, but can actually walk in there and earn their keep now at the next stop. So we try to really focus on some of those things and do it. And obviously we can all probably sit here and talk for hours about those things, but that's kind of a little bit about those 3 topics you brought up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Coach Arrington, I'd love to get your take on player development and potentially, the relationships you've developed with institutions to get your guys to 4-year schools and some of the scouts in the Texas area, and how that all ties into to what you're doing to develop guys to get them ready for the next level.
I think that, I liked what Doug had said earlier in bringing 100% to the field every day. And I can see that. And it's at the end of each season, I look in the mirror, I ask my players to, but I look at myself and I said, what could I have done to improve? What can I do to get better? I don't just want to ask that of the players. I want to ask it of myself. And so I pose that to my assistant coaches. I say, how are we going to get better? What can you do to become a better coach, to enable us to teach our players better? So I think there's we tend to lead by example. Our children are a small part of who we are, and our players are a part of who we are too. So if we address practice and games and so forth in the manner in which you expect them to play, then you'll have a great relationship. I personally don't leave anything to chance. I want to know, their workouts, what they're doing. I want to know what they're eating. I want to know their living environment. I want to know that, making sure that we know our first and thirds. I want to make sure we understand we're doing a glove drop pick or a daylight or whatever it is. I mean, there's so many things to get out there and get across the players, and there's time for it. I think there's a lot of time that could be wasted in practices when they need to understand work ethic from a standpoint of it. I want to teach their brain. I want to teach their knowledge of the game. They have the ability, they have skill, they throw however hard, 96, and so our addressing that is saying, what could we do? And we wanted to improve we wanted to prove, I guess, our, how we address them as far as our technical standpoint. We do a lot of slow motion imagery. We do the Rapsodo. We do the TrackMan. We've obtained synergy. We've gone through that. The NCAA allowed pitchers to use wristbands, so we're doing wristbands on our signals now with people at second base. It's just, we want to stay ahead of the curve. We want to make things happen at a higher end rather than following the lead of others. And I want to provide that environment. A couple of years ago, we had the player Jackson Rutledge, who was drafted in the first round. And I remember watching him come in and seeing him throw the first day, and you go, "Holy cow, that guy's going to be a big leaguer." And you see him one time, you go, "He's pretty good." And it wasn't just that, though, Jim. It was his work ethic. It was that he was a perfectionist with his craft, and he taught other younger players how he threw his slider, how to look at the Rapsodo, how to adjust the spin rate of a pitch, and it's a great environment for that. I think too often nowadays we're getting more and more Division I throwbacks for whatever reason. They're and I told you this a week and a half ago, but they're leaving because they're unhappy, or they don't have enough playing time, or they want to increase their draft stock, or for whatever reason, or they've been beat down. Who knows? And they come, and they need to regain that trust, and they need to regain, hey, what's this coach like? How am I going to be treated? And I'll go back to Doug again when he said, he give it, come in with 100%. And I'll say it again. My coaching staff is superior. They're outstanding young men. And Woody's a little older like me, but they come in and we give every day. We build that trust, not just about how hard they're throwing or their contact, angle and so forth. But it's just really about just being there, developing them, and staying ahead of the curve. The other thing that helped us out, I think, is from a developmental standpoint, was playing the best opponents we could play. When the NCAA last year opened it up for the 4-year schools to start playing a couple of games in their fall season, well, it was nice to be able to pick out, Louisiana Lafayette, University of Texas, TCU, and other programs. So we're saying, wow, we're facing this Lodolo kid. He's a first rounder. What are we going to get? How are we going to handle that?
Mm-hmm.
And then we throw Jackson Rutledge against them. It's like, okay, we feel pretty comfortable. It's a pretty good match. And so, and so that's a good thing. And then in this season, we're fortunate that we can drive a little bit, play Jeff Johnson over at Chipola and play Doug in Northwest Florida. We go out to, and we do fly. So we go out to, Vegas and play in a tournament out there. I want to expose our players to the best possible talent that we will be able to face, and it puts them in a good scout environment too. If we're playing Grayson or McLennan, and McLennan had the Phillips kid last year, throwing really well, and just it was a lot of good exposure, and I think players thrive for that. I think it's part of their development. They all overthrow early, and then they kind of start reeling back, getting a sense of who they really are. But that's our approach to it, and that's how we that's our developmental standpoint as far as keeping them on the cutting edge of everything.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Coach. Coach Goebel, same question goes over to you in regards to what you're doing for player development and relationships or pipelines. Parkland sending guys all over the place. So development and what you're doing to help the guys get ready and move on to the next level.
I think the biggest thing is just being very blunt with them and identifying where they currently stand, and then trying to, kind of try to build a roadmap as to what level of athlete, whether it be a position player or pitcher or middle infielder, outfielder, whatever, is getting recruited at different levels, and making sure that they have that information that's very black and white and in front of them. Now, recruiting has a lot of variables and timing and sometimes luck and need and all that different stuff. But there is a particular baseline that I think guys can shoot for, that I think maybe puts them puts their foot in the door at a particular level or a particular conference, or whether it be pro ball or mid-major, high major, stuff like that. So I think it's just being really honest with them and blunt about where they currently stand and what they have to change or add to get to where they want to be, whatever their goals might be. I can tell you our program is very much built upon the high school athlete. I want to say probably 7 of our last maybe 8 or 9 out of our last 10 All-Americans were high school kids that we recruited. All of our recent draft picks in the last 4 years were high school kids that we recruited that either had no Division I offers or maybe just a couple mid-major offers coming out of high school. We tend to supplement our roster with some Division I bounce backs, but we don't build our roster off of that by any means. And part of that is being a Division II junior college and not having the ability to scholarship housing. Definitely neutralizes some of our power within the transfer game as far as recruiting, depending on where the kid's coming from. But I mean, our guys, I'm not getting anybody coming in throwing 92, 93, 94, anything like that. I'm going to get guys come in that are 86 to 88, maybe occasionally have a transfer that's scraping 90. And it's our job from there to, kind of build them up. So, our player development is, built upon the fact that we got to enhance physical tools right away if these guys are going to get an opportunity to go where they want to go. And I just think that's, I think there's a lot of programs across the junior college landscape that they're going to function in a particular way that fits them best based off of the type of athlete they're able to acquire or via recruiting. So for us, it's it's a very individualized approach. And like I said, in terms of just figuring out what they currently have and what they don't have in their game, and how do we add that, or can we add that? Is it reasonable that we're going to be able to add that within maybe 10 to 22 months, depending on how long they're with us, and just kind of go from there, and make sure that guys know that, I tell guys all the time, especially in recruiting, we've had a lot of fortunate success with helping some guys, kind of blow up over a 10 to 20 month period, but not every player is a success story, not by any means. And you have to be honest about that and tell them there's absolutely no guarantees, but there's a good opportunity. And from a coaching standpoint, my assistant coaches do a great job, and it's, we can promise you that we'll do everything we can to help you, but there are no guarantees, and that's the way it should be. Because if there are guarantees, then, it's not a faith-based approach where your work ethic is really challenged. And it should be something where I'm going to put all this work in, and I'm going to do everything I can to get better. And at the end of the day, I'm guaranteed nothing. I feel like there's something kind of pure about that I think athletes need. So that's kind of what we tell them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I can tell you, when I was at Belmont University, we had two of your guys, Cully Day and Jack Rettig, both extremely hard workers, just solid guys, man. Good old Cully.
Yeah, those are two of my favorites. I've known them. I coached them when they were 14 years old.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they were awesome kids, man.
Yep.
Awesome kids. So if those guys are out there representing Parkland, man, you're doing a heck of a job.
Appreciate it.
Coach Wren, same question kind of goes to you in regards to player development and ultimately potential relationships, how you're helping these guys get to where it is they end up getting to.
Yeah, well, I think, especially being Division III and not having, scholarships to be able to bring, these ultra talented kids in, which we end up doing somehow. But, we try to take a talented kid that has some tools, and then we just try to develop those. And I think Jon said, physicality is a big issue for us. We may have some guys that have some really good tools, but from a physical standpoint, just need to make some strides. We've been really fortunate we're in a really great spot and a really good location in East Texas. And so we've certainly gotten some kids that we probably shouldn't. And obviously winning helps a little bit with that. But we've sent probably, in the last 10 years, over 100 guys to 4-year schools, and I bet 40% of those signed with Division I programs. And so, which is really cool for us, being able to take a kid on no money, probably with limited options coming out of maybe high school or whatnot, and being able to pour into him, develop him. I think, Jon mentioned it a while ago, I think it's really important for us to have a plan for each of the kids. To be able to assess those. That's what's great about junior college is we get such a long fall that we get to see these kids day in and day out. We're with them a ton, and we're able to be around them and get to see what they bring to the table every day. And then we can kind of see where the holes are, where they might need to get better in order to get where they need to go. And, ultimately for us, every kid comes in here and I think you sit them down and they'd all love to play Division I baseball. I think, I don't think that's the end all be all. I think there's probably a right fit for each kid. But ultimately, it's not my decision or it's not my place to be able to put a ceiling on any of these guys. And so it's up to me and my staff to be able to develop them in the best way that we can. And as far as, and help them get as far as they can go. I think, it's kind of the same for us, taking the kid that's, 88, 90. And, we had a kid last year that ended up being 95, 97, drafted in the 14th round. That kid came in throwing 91, 92. 9 months later, he's mid to upper 90s and, he's getting paid to be a professional right now. So, for us, it's taking some of those guys that have some tools and just kind of developing them from a standpoint of maybe it's a physical thing or maybe it's a consistency thing, whatever that looks like. I think just identifying that through the fall, making a plan, and then at the end of the day, just hopefully putting them in a position to succeed. And so, and we've been really fortunate. We've had guys that have, we've had guys that signed with the SEC, the Big 12. We've had guys drafted out of here. We've been really fortunate to have a lot of really quality players come through our program, and a lot of that starts with our recruiting. We don't recruit like a Division III program. I've been in plenty of recruiting battles with Tom down at Sanjak. We don't win very many of those, if any, but those are the kind of players that I want. I want to try to go get the best, and Tom scoops them up down there in Houston, but we want to try to get the best kids we can get in here, and then we want to do the best by them and try to develop them from a standpoint of wherever that looks like. And so we've tapped into some of the technology, the Rapsodo, some of those things that again, just I don't think it's for everybody, but I think if it helps one or two kids get what they need out of it, or I've got a young pitching coach that does a really good job of developing our arms. He's kind of on the cutting edge of some of the stuff that's coming out and some of the things they're doing, but he also has some balance in there and some old school as well. So I think it's a great balance for our pitching staff, and so again, I think it's just assessing what our players' needs are, and then using our facilities, our resources to be able to meet them where they're at.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Coach Lane, same question, player development and potential relationships. I know it may feel like at times up in the Pacific Northwest that you're kind of out in an island because you got the middle of this country, all these mountains in the way of where, most of the college baseball is, but stuff's kind of growing out there. And I know your guys are kind of going everywhere. But in any event, give us a little insight into regards to your player development and where guys are headed.
Yeah, no, I think the first thing is that it all is about the relationships and who you're surrounding each individual player with. I mean, throughout our recruiting process, I know it's been touched on a few times here tonight, but we want to eliminate the wrong person for a program. We want guys that want to work hard, and if we can surround each individual on our team with other guys that are ambitious, they work their tails off, they want to go win, they want to be a team type player, and they want to develop themselves obviously individually, then you can grow. You're creating a great environment for these guys to grow in. And it's also surrounding with the coaching staff. My coaching staff that we have with Ian Sanderson, our pitching coach, Kurt Lipinski, who runs a lot of the hitting and recruiting, and then Michael Forgione, who is kind of the young guy on staff, but he's been a part of our program before, and he does a lot of the base running and infield work. And so just having those relationships there can just enhance that environment for these guys to succeed in. And the other pieces of it is, we put in this turf field a few years ago, and just in the Northwest, the weather with how rainy it is, and we'll get some of those bad winters. With that, turf fields come in handy. Our guys get out there, get ground balls, early work. We don't lose a field because of the weather. We don't have the tarp rolls that we used to have that I had to go through. We still have the tarp out there, so if anyone's looking for one, let me know. We don't need it anymore. So just that piece is huge. And then we have TrackMan that's been installed a couple years ago or a year and a half ago, and we're able to use that, which is huge. And it depends on how you use it, to be honest. Coach Sanderson is our pitching coach, is the one that probably uses it most often. Just spin rate, location, release point, that type of stuff for our pitching staff is really been huge this last year. We have video for all of our games, which I'm sure that a lot of you guys do as well. But it's, a lot of colleges in the Northwest are trying to develop some sort of video so families can watch back at home. But our administration has done a great job as far as the videos go, and we've got different angles. We got replay. And so that allows us to move guys on. What we can do to those 4-year levels, we can accumulate innings of the pitchers or at bats for the hitters, or just defensive stuff, and we can send that on. A lot of places they got an iPad back there, and it's tough to see. Ours, you can actually see things, and so we can develop the video piece, because we've sent guys to the East Coast, to Wofford, Charleston, Southern University, USC Upstate, Virginia Commonwealth, a bunch of D2s back that way, all over the country, and sometimes it might be tough for those recruiting coordinators to get out here. And so we're able to do that with the video piece, which is awesome. Like I said, we have an SID that can do that. We've moved guys on all different levels. 31 guys we've moved on. Really, all these guys have opportunities. There's great baseball everywhere: D3, D2, NAIA, Division One, and we've sent 31 guys on in the last few seasons. 16 Division One, I think 7 Division Two, along with 8 NAIAs. Created a lot of great relationships with people on that side. But it's really, I'm a firm believer that, the people you surround these guys with in the environment is huge. Obviously, the exit velo, getting them stronger. We have a brand new weight room that's right next to our field, so guys are getting a routine. They don't have to drive off campus for an indoor. We have our indoor right there. It's 24-hour access. Those guys got 2 machines in there, throw a slider machine on, and just blister up those hands, baby. I mean, it's all about that work and getting in there and creating a routine with these guys. And then, it's just and putting them through a lot of hard work. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Coach Sullivan, same thing goes to you. Player development. What are you guys doing at Sac City?
Lately we've definitely invested in some of the technology stuff. Not the high end style. I love TrackMan, just can't get there yet. But we've used Rapsodo very effectively for a few years now. We've had a really great relationship with Driveline and Kyle and my pitching coach, Descahe Bomberry. I mean, he's also one of the regional assistant coaches of the year. He's beyond phenomenal. Also my recruiting coordinator. But we really start the year off with it's an individualized focus in the fall, and our facilities are different but still great. Across the street from our campus, we have a city park. I describe it as the poor man's spring training complex at William Lamb Park. We've got 3 full-size fields that we can spread out to. We have an unusually large space. We got a lot of guys out there, like some junior colleges, and I got a lot of coaches. I definitely lead our state in coaches, anywhere from 8 to 10 a year. Mostly alumni guys, and mostly volunteer, to be honest with you. And so we really do take the time. We have the manpower and the space to focus on, we're going to go out there and we're going to use all the Driveline, under overload balls and bats. That's something that we've used incredibly effectively the last couple of years. Real climb in our slugging percentage, not wholly due to increase in batting average. Just we hit the balls harder and further. That's been a big piece. We lift. I'm always bringing a strength coach on board. Usually he's a graduate assistant or something with our local performance training place that we have a relationship with. And so again, just finding a way to get that guy taken care of and having a guy that really, really knows cutting edge physical training. That's who our guys are lifting with. And that all plays its way into competitive environments and competition and the mental side of things. And so, player development and the video stuff that we've had that you mentioned earlier, Level, I'm name dropping companies, but the idea is that we're doing things to promote our guys, capture action so that we can go back and give them feedback. I think we're fortunate, every school, every coach here on this panel, there's not a coach I can't call in the country that'll pick up and, if they think we have, or if I think we have a player that can play for them in the SEC or, any place. I feel fortunate that we can make that phone call, and we do a lot of things to get those guys to that level.
That's awesome. Well, I can say, as a former NCAA Division II recruiting coordinator and an NCAA Division I coach, that if there's a JUCO guy out there, I'm going to end up overpaying for him. That's just ultimately the way it goes. It's 2 years of statistics. They mean a little bit more than the statistics generated at the high school level. But all that aside, gentlemen, we're getting pretty close to our, I say I don't ask another question after 9:30. It's 9:34. So we'll kind of just go around the horn and we'll get some final thoughts. Anything you want to say, as if you're speaking to the high school coach, the youth coach, the travel coach, the NCAA Division I coach who may send you a bounce back or something like that. Ultimately, the goal of this is to educate our coaches, to get them to understand the options that are available to them, that junior college is a solid option, that an associate's degree is something that can propel kids forward. Had it not been for my junior college experience, if you would ask anybody at my high school that I have a master's degree and 3 college degrees, their brain would it would blow up. Their head would explode in front of you. It was my junior college coach who made the impact upon me that forced me to finish those degrees and to go through that process. And I'm forever indebted to him and that junior college experience. And I think more people need to know that it is a platform that can propel young men instead of, it's just a phenomenal platform. So I'm going to get off my horse and stop talking. Coach Hitt, any final thoughts you'd like to share with us?
Just first of all, Jim, again, appreciate you having me on. Really enjoyed the time here, enjoyed the panel. And I would just take a topic you had in your notes earlier, why junior college? For me, you got to be on the field to grow. And I think we provide that at every one of our venues across the country. We provide fall seasons. We provide attention to student athletes, and you've got to be on the field to grow. And I think that that's something that we find more and more every year. We've talked about some bounce back guys. We've talked about the development of the high school player. And I think for more than anything else, why junior college? Got to be on the field, and don't believe the myths. We have good facilities. We have outstanding academics. We have a lot of those things. So that's just my 2 cents to finish the day. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to be on here tonight.
Coach, thank you very much. Coach Arrington, final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Thank you, ABCA, for putting this together, and we appreciate it. I believe there's a place for every kid to play at, and certainly when we do evaluations, or I get the emails, or I get phone calls, and so forth. We push them to go places, and Stan Jack might not be the place for them, and so forth. But we're going to help every kid find that opportunity somewhere. And I think that's what they need to understand. And junior college is the place for it. I know I played for Al Endress, who's ABCA Hall of Fame. I coached against Jerry Weinstein, ABCA, Hall of Fame. John Nochi, and played for Mark Johnson, played for George Horton. There's a lot of knowledge at the junior college level. And I think the young kids today have a lot of talent. I think they're coming in to systems more mature, more knowledgeable, more understanding, but they need good coaches like the coaches on this panel. Obviously, I'm just looking at the numbers from y'all and what you do. Just total admiration for that. But I just think the other part of it too is with junior colleges and San Jacinto College. We're based on a premise that to help instruct students, to help them along with their goals, their careers, their dreams, and through sports, you won't find, and especially baseball, you're going to find a lot of brotherhood. You're going to put aside a lot of what's going on in our country today, which is it's just a lot of tragedies, a lot of things, a lot of issues, and if we can bring them all together and create an environment where they're seeking a common goal, they're helping one another, they're showing that friendship and that unity, and I think you could ask any former San Jack player or anyone that put, most of them, they're going to come back and they're going to give you a story about not their statistics and not this. They're going to say, hey, remember when Johnny and I got together and we had that, whatever. And it's good stories. It's good friendships and ones that'll last for a very, very long time. So thanks again, Jim.
No doubt. Thank you, Coach. Thank you so much. Coach Goebel, final thoughts?
Kind of reiterate what Coach Hitt said. I think guys need to understand just, not to knock Division I baseball in any way, shape, or form, but we're going to play more games. We're going to practice more hours. We're going to be in the weight room more, and just from simply we don't have as much red tape in terms of what the rules are on that. So there's just going to be more opportunity to get bigger, to get stronger, to get more at bats, to get more innings. I say that with the junior colleges on this panel here with these guys. I mean, this is competitive baseball, so you don't want to get in your mind, well, I'll go JUCO and I'll get to play. you better be good. The best guys are going to play at all the programs, and there's no guarantee that, well, I'm going to go JUCO, so I'm going to get 150 at bats. Well, if you're good enough, you will, depending on where you're at. So, but I do think that's something that, guys out of high school need to understand, that we simply just get to do more in terms of what the rules allow us to do. And I'm grateful for that. I love that. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I had to have, quiet periods and 8 hours a week and stuff like that, as much as some of the other levels are. So that's my biggest thing to guys. You just kind of understand that. And kind of like Coach Arrington said too, like academically, I think junior college can get that stigma of non-qualifiers and we just had 8 guys that had 4 O's on a squad, which I thought was really good, and a bunch of guys with over 3 5s. And I'm sure these other programs on the panel had the same because of, their commitment to excellence and kind of what their expectations are. And that's we're just like anybody else as far as having, guys that maybe need a little bit more help in the classroom, just like at all levels, and guys that are tearing it up. So, that's my biggest thing is, don't judge a book by its cover. Talk to coaches, talk to people, talk to players that play junior college baseball, and get as much information as you can, because today the information's out there. It's hard to hide. There's a lot of info out there on everybody with social media and whatnot. So, thanks again for having me. I absolutely love it. Learned a lot from the guys tonight, and wish you guys nothing but the best.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Coach Wren, same question. Final thoughts. What do you got?
Yeah, Jim, appreciate you having us on, and what an honor to be a part of this panel. And just reiterating what these guys have been saying, junior college comes down to opportunity, and opportunity in the classroom, opportunity on the baseball field, opportunity in the weight room, opportunity to open doors, opportunity to make friendships. It always makes me feel really good when I get a text after a guy ends his playing career and he says, I played Division I baseball, I played professional baseball. My favorite 2 years were at your school. And I can't tell you how many guys that I've heard that says the junior college experience and their time in junior college was the best 2 years of their life or their playing career. And that's when we know we're doing something right. And that's what's special about junior college baseball is we are around each other a lot because we don't have some of the parameters. But it's such a great opportunity for guys to, again, just kind of open doors for themselves in a lot of different ways. And so, I enjoy the junior college level. I enjoy the type of kids and where they're at in their life and coming out of high school and just kind of being the bridge between, their high school days or whatnot. And then, helping them hopefully springboard into, a long playing career and then obviously a life out in the real world. So, certainly a lot of value in what we do. And there's, I think too, with what Rick said, I think there's a lot of great facilities in junior college baseball. There's a lot of really outstanding coaches. Again, all just kind of leading back to a great opportunity for a guy to come in and develop and open doors for himself.
Sounds good. My internet connection is being a little unstable, so I apologize if it came off as aloof when I said sounds good. I was just kind of pretending to hear what you said, and I'm like, man, this sounds horrible. I need to address that. My internet's bouncing in and out. Yeah, it was. It always is. I mean, coming from somebody who's won as much as you have over there, anything you say is valuable, Coach. So thank you for sharing. Coach Lane, final thoughts?
Yeah. Thanks, Jim, for having me and my program, and obviously being able to represent the NWAC. This was a great panel. Listening to all these guys on here, I'm pretty sold on JC myself. One of the questions you had on the outline was who should consider JC. And I honestly think everyone should. There's going to be some guys that are super talented that they just never end up at the JC route and might never will. But there's been so many good players. I mean, just hearing some of these coaches talking what they've had in their program. I mean, if you're someone that's sitting there and not considering it all, I just think that's bad. there's some great facilities. Do your research on these programs. JC baseball is a huge part of my life. I think you grow up a lot more at that JC because you can't rely on some of the luxuries that you might get at a higher level. You got to be on a bus. You got to grind it out. You got to have a chip on your shoulder. All that type of stuff we've been saying this whole time. It's an impressive level of baseball, and I think that everyone should consider it. And don't be ignorant about it. Go do your research and don't just assume.
No doubt. Wise words right there, Coach. Coach Sullivan, final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I've believed this well, is handed down from Jerry Weinstein, Andy McKay, but basically there's 5 main reasons that guys will end up in junior college. They're academically deficient. Financially, there's an issue. They can't afford it to go to that 4-year school right away. Maturity, there's an issue. So they can't leave home or something like it. Or really, they're just not good enough. So those kind of 4 deficiencies are, those are reasons to come to a JC. And in addition to the kind of the leverage of the pro draft, you maintain the ability to be drafted, some high-end guys, especially here in the next 3 years, that's going to be more apparent if it isn't already. But the junior college is a chance to fix all of that. There's no guarantee, like every coach here has said, but what we're all pretty good at is helping guys get better. So, if you're not good enough, maybe you will be. If you failed at a Division I school and you bounce back, that doesn't mean you don't belong there. That just means that you got to do something different. And that's the opportunity that we all provide. And again, on this panel specifically at a very high level. So, the junior college is a great option for a whole lot of players, good and everywhere in between.
No doubt. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank all of you for participating in this panel discussion. I know it's a little awkward talking to your computer screen, either in a bedroom or a living room, or you had to make a deal with the wife to kick her out of something for a couple of hours. So thank you. Thank you so much. It means the world to us, but also to a lot of high school youth and travel players at the moment right now, because they look at they don't really know what to think about junior college baseball. They don't know that it's an option. They don't know about the dudes coming through your program. They do not know about the World Series, the championship. So thank you for taking the time to share that information with the players, the coaches, and thank you very much. Well, folks, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this evening. I'd like to extend a huge thank you to our production team, PAC Network, and our sponsor, Pocket Radar. They're the ones who make this possible. So thank you. If you missed something or clicked into the conversation a little bit late, this episode will be available on demand within the coaching resource library section of our ABCA website and our My ABCA mobile application. Sure you tune in. Next, we'll discuss the current landscape of NAIA college baseball. Our current panelists are Billy Berry from Tennessee Wesleyan, Manny Cervantes from Asbury University, Kip McWilliams from Indiana Tech, George Perez from St. Thomas University, Coach Eric Fold from Hope International University. On behalf of everyone here at the ABCA, our board of directors, our executive committee, Craig Kylitz, John Litchfield, Juan Clark, Zach Hale, Matt West, Sarah Barlock, Ryan Brownlee, and Mike Odom, thank you and stay safe out there. Tonight's episode of ABCA At Home Perspectives is made possible by Pocket Radar. Pocket Radar's smart coach app system, with its unique ability to automatically capture videos with embedded velocities, allows coaches to stay connected and work remotely with current players and new recruits. Their Bring Your Training Home initiative will provide education and resources, including webinars and a limited time discount to help players remotely train, develop, and be seen at home with video analysis tools. Check out their 2020 Expo Theater presentation located in the ABCA Video Library.